And that's your next step. That's where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
You still don't have clarity, and because you don't have clarity, you can't make a decision.
Sure, yeah.
Because you're not making a decision, you're indecisive, in limbo.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in limbo, then you feel like you're not progressing. You feel like you're not going anywhere. You feel like
that's happening.
you're just kind of
But here's the thing,
flow.
still like doing things. Do you get what I mean? I'm still doing the DMs, like, but I'm like, remember how I said I'm aimlessly doing them? Now, for some reason today, it was like I got a little bit like I told them about niche coaching. I was like, oh, I see this. Like 3 people were like messaging me about like, or like when I was talking to them and connecting, they're like, oh yeah, I want to start a business at some point, but I don't really know what it is. I was like, that's a common issue. It seems like between 3 people, and I have that issue, right? And that's what Joseph said, which is why we're developing this whole niche thing in the first place. So I was like, oh, now I see the market for it, and like now I'm actually talking about it and selling myself as part of that industry.
There's a massive market for it.
Right.
I'm telling you, half of the people who want to start their business have just no idea what to start, or where do they even begin? And it begins with why?
Yeah.
Because there's too many options.
Mm.
Back in the day, this is also one of the reasons why people don't get married and have families. It's like there's just too many female options, you know. And also, the options aren't that good. But from a business perspective, bro, back in the day, it was like you grew up on the farm and you took over your dad's farm.
Right. But now globalized, right? So you can do anything and everything.
We can do anything and everything. And it's almost like you have to know yourself, right? It's like, what do I want? What do I want to pursue? And the problem with this is that most often people are choosing something because they got to choose something. And then they find out they don't like it. And then it's like literally a lot of people are going to college and then they quit college after 2 years to pursue something completely different.
Yeah, that's pointless.
Like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? So
but here's the thing, though. Don't they have to do that 2 years of college try and then realize that's not what they want? Like, there is no, how do you dodge that?
No.
Do you get what I mean? They have to explore.
They dodge it with you.
Fair.
They dodge it by understanding how people live their lives with that specific career. And they dodge it by understanding their potential and what they could do. Very often it's a limiting self-belief,
right,
and limiting self-worth that causes them to be like, no, I can't do that. Although that's the thing I actually really want to do. I can't do that because I'm this and this and this and this and this and this. And so I have to choose something that I don't like. And now there's tons of options.
It's where I repeat that last part. Choose something that I don't like, and now there's tons of options.
Yeah, because now it's like you have to settle. Now you have to because you everyone has like a massive passion that they're like, man, if I could do this, it would be insane. And sometimes they're delusional and actually think that they can do that thing. Sometimes they can't. And that's where niche coaching got to come in and say, you don't have the talent for it. You suck at it. So the question is, do you want to pursue it and maybe become average at that thing? Or should you maybe find a different passion that you didn't know existed? You didn't even know that was your passion. But once you got into it and got deeper into it, then you're like, man, you found out you love this more than the thing that you can't get good at.
Right, exactly. Okay.
And like I said before, there is no such thing as niche coaching, although that's the most important thing right now. Because people don't know what they're doing and they're wasting time. Like, you got to look at it from the perspective of resource allocation. Like, where are we spending our resources? Where are we spending our energies? Like, people are putting their energies and resources into stuff that's not going to get them what they want. So as a niche coach, You know what they want. What do you actually want? So that's how they get to know themselves. What's the fastest path to get there? You could do this, you could do this, you could do this. But since we know you through the tests and the questions that we're asking you, we know now what we can eliminate.
Right.
Now it becomes more simplified. The more we eliminate from their path, it's like, okay, so it boils down to this or this option, right? Yes.
Right. Also, I want to point out, I ask when I work with someone one-on-one, usually, or brainstorm ideas, or especially with engineers, I've noticed I tend to ask questions that find loopholes in their thinking, if that makes sense. Because it doesn't make sense to me. Like just through loopholes, if that makes sense. Just like that's the physics of that just makes no fucking sense. Like
exactly.
Like it comes relatively intuitive, at least in electrical some fashion. Maybe I don't know. But I noticed that I seem to make other engineers like quote unquote thrive a little bit, or other people just thrive a little bit, if that makes sense, because I ask good questions. And frankly, I think it comes up even in our conversations. We go deep into certain certain topics and ideologies, if that makes any sense, right? Like, I think you see it as well. So,
could you apply your understanding of engineering, physics, electronics, or electricity, current, so to speak? Could you apply this to the human sciences?
Yes. And what fascinates me is Neuralink and all these things. That's part of biology that would genuinely help people, and it's needed so badly.
I like your thinking because like I have a similar mind, right? But moving towards the human engineering aspect.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say that like your brain is really good at like coaching is perfect for you because you understand people, and like, you know what I mean, you're really good at your job. I remember I told you this first thing when we spoke on the first call. I was like, you're good at your job, I can already tell. And that drives you. So
well, it's not that I'm good. Well, thank you. But what I've noticed I'm good at is simplifying something, like taking a complex problem and then just bringing it back to like, this is the root cause, this is the root problem, this is where we can fix all of that, but you need to focus on this thing first. And I guess prioritization. I like what you're saying though. I like the fact that you're becoming more aware of what you could be passionate about. Interesting.
And
that Neuralink.
Just Neuralink was just an idea. But I did work on some similar project like that in university. We use brain signals to see different waves, alpha waves, beta waves. Your brain has different waves, right? And you can read the signal and filter out shit or some shit. Anyways, all very theoretical concepts. This is why people aren't good, because it's so theoretical. It's very math heavy. And math always came easy-ish to me because I always read math, if that makes any sense. I never actually like sat there, solved a problem. It was like, okay, cool. I literally read math like it was an English textbook. So
And you understood it.
yeah, and I understood it for the most part. Dude, I skipped a grade because since childhood, I think like grade 1, 2, 3, something like that. I don't really know. Probably grade 3, grade 4. Nobody told me that I was supposed to stop studying after a certain chapter, so I just kept studying, and I did the exam, and then for my age, they're like, your kid knows way too much math for his age. and so we could bump them up to the next year if you want. And that's why I carried through, and that's why people get thrown off by this. But in high school, even in I started university when I went into university when I was 16. So like it was, and that's actually normal. You know what I mean? Like the more that I find out now, it's a little bit more normal, like especially in European countries. But nonetheless, math comes easy-ish to me. I'm telling you, there's a lot better and smarter engineers. I'm 1,000% sure. Don't get me wrong.
Interesting. You know, sorry, I just have to interrupt real quick if you don't mind. Like in terms of, I had the same type thing, but I have with the ease of translating things in my brain. So like, for example, if you give me a problem, a math problem that is somewhat simple, I'll solve the problem fast in my head. Without needing paper, without needing, like I'm just able to get to the solution fast, right? But if you give me a complex problem, complex math problem, like I don't want it.
Yeah. Same.
And
Sure.
Kind of same.
Kind of similar in the sense that there's some simplicity to it, but if it's like actually like sort of complex and you have to do a lot of actual math, you're like, oh, okay, all right, never mind.
It's like preparatory work type thing.
Yeah.
But this might also be the reason why, you know, like I kind of have a shallow understanding of math, but the understanding that I do have is fast. It's interesting. Maybe I need to learn, you know, more complex math, but it just wouldn't make any sense from the type of occupation that I have.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. See, this is what I'm saying. This is a prime example. You want to do something, but that you actually want this, but okay, math is there. Could you do it through like being an engineer? Yes, but is that the right way to go? No. Moving on. What's the next thing? And the next, you know what I mean? That's what you were saying earlier.
And I have no interest in learning math. Like I don't want to. You know what I mean? So like, let me stay away from that. But if you want to give me an easy math problem that I need to solve fast, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Well, from a trading perspective,
right?
Genius, amazing. From scalping is the type of trading where you have to go in within a few seconds, minutes, and then you have to get out. And you have to predict what's going to happen quite quickly because there's millions of people affecting the price right here, right now, and you need to make fast calculations in your head of which levels is going to be where, whatever, right?
Sure.
My skill sets in math, from a quick type of perspective of simple math problems, is adapted perfectly to trading. It's one of the reasons why I like trading so much, because I'm in the problem, and the problem is quick, and I need to solve it quickly, and actually it's done easily.
Makes a lot of sense.
While if someone were to give me engineering or mechanical stuff, or tell me to solve how to get a rocket ship into space, I'm not your guy. Like I don't even want to be that guy.
Right.
So that's just an example of like someone who's good at math but is good at it from a different perspective, and helping him to find his role, so to speak.
Right.
What it comes down to is relevant problem solving.
Yeah, relevant problem solving. Yeah.
It's like, well, what does the world need right now, or what does the world need in 2 to 3 years that I can spend the next 2 to 3 years preparing, so that once the people are ready for the solution, I already have it because I knew that this problem would erupt. And that's when you hit timing, because that's really what business is about. It's like millions of people are going to stand in line with this problem in 2 to 3 years. What can I do to prepare myself to meet the demand of these millions of people in 2 to 3 years? Because most people are not thinking ahead. So business and entrepreneurship is really understanding, well, let me think ahead. Let me understand what they'll need in 2 to 3 years, and let me build the foundation so that I can actually receive millions of people and fulfill their demands at that time. And they'll pay me for it.
So see, that's right there was an example. You breaking it down helped me understand simplicity.
Yep.
Also, I have oddly a really strong quote unquote. We'll see how long it actually pans out, but I really want to learn Hindi so I can go to India and actually like build an empire or try to. Maybe they won't accept me. Who cares? It is what it is. They probably won't.
Indian.
But yeah, I don't know, dude. You know what I mean? But that seems more like I really would like to do that or like start that thing and like then let someone else take over and run it, obviously. But I want to, get that going. There's a lot of talented people who don't have the opportunity. I'm trying to see where I would really fit. Like, yeah, I can build a company, energy company, if I really fucking wanted. You know what I mean? Like, go talk to some energy people, see if they're interested in building some project, right? And I work in hydrogen space, and the world is trying to get their hands on this shit, low key.
Yeah.
So it's like if I can understand that technology and establish myself well in that industry, then I'll actually have a voice in that industry, if that makes any sense. Like I'll be right because I spent my time. Like if I spent 5 years doing jiu-jitsu and I'm around 80cc people and like the pros, they're gonna hear my name. You know what I mean? Regardless. So
Literally.
But
is that something you'd like? Like, because now we're just connecting your expertise, we're connecting your love for India, motherland. We're connecting the fact that you want to be filthy stinking rich with the fact that you want to help millions of people. And we're connecting the fact that you want to provide tons of opportunity, tons of jobs for people. And like all of these connections bring us down to one specific thing, right? And we don't know what that thing is yet. And that's the exciting part. Like if we knew what it is, then it's like, okay, great. Now we do it, I guess. It's like it's like the fact that this is a problem, right? It's a problem that needs solving, that we don't know what the world needs at what time. And it's an exciting problem.
Right.
That once we figure out the equation to it, it's like, yes, that's it.
You know what's funny? Also with media and all these things, there's more and more distractions for us to not think about the problems. Like, what are the problems? Like, no one's ever going to question that. Ever. Sorry. Anyways.
What the problems are?
Yeah, like, what are the problems? No one's going to ask that because, like, there's random distractions all the fucking time. But my brother doesn't even think about, like, the thought. It baffles my mind that people go day in, day out without the thought of this even coming once during their day. Do you get what I mean? Like they're on autopilot. They don't think about this shit.
But this is entrepreneur type stuff, though. This
Sure.
is like,
Very good.
We are literally the leaders of humanity.
Right. That's
like
fair.
Government is just ridiculous because
Yeah.
they're literally
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs, we're literally creating win-win situations out of our desire for power and money and all that stuff without the government's intervention. But now these days, entrepreneurs work with government and they're the ones that get the best contracts and best deals and all sorts of crap. But in the end, it's entrepreneurs that win. And we look at the world and see a problem and be like, there's an opportunity there. Like I can actually provide a solution to that problem. And then you have the downers, that are like that are not entrepreneurs, that look at the world and be like, oh, these problems, oh, it's so horrible, and this is blah, 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 blah. And then you got the entrepreneurs on the other side who are like, awesome, like there's a problem here, let me solve it, right?
Right.
And you got the rest of the people who are just like,
oh, not a problem.
Yeah, not bothered, not thinking about it, just thinking about themselves, really.
Yeah.
Only thinking about themselves. It's like, this is how important niche coaching is. It's like, although, yes, we're moving you towards the next phase of your life, I kind of see this potentially this niche coaching being something where you're solving an equation for people to get, it's a mathematical equation.
Right.
It's literally, you're trying to create a current between this person and this alpha omega solution for people, and connecting that energy together. What niche coaching is, it's like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and as a result, I have no current. Here's all these people with all these problems. I don't have a solution to my problems. And then here's the niche, guys. This is what the world needs right now. Have you considered this? And he's like, oh, there's tons of money to be made there because tons of people need this solution to this problem. And then you're like, maybe you should try it out. And then he connects to it. The current makes him alive. The energy begins to thrive. And as a result, the people see this as an authority figure, and they're like, wow, this is an amazing solution, and it actually helps everyone. It's like a win-win-win.
It's also funny how the newer generation, the more and more the whole red pill ideology spreads, the more and more people are like, what's the next quickest way to make money, rather than trying to, because that's not sustainable. Yes, you'll make tons of money. Maybe it's sustainable. Maybe people will figure it out. But the issue is they're not doing what they really want to do, if that makes sense. So all these crypto punk kids will make fuck tons of monies with NFTs, but then that's what's after that? What have you created? You haven't created anything that's impacting anybody. You just made some NFT monies.
100%. And this is why times like these, there's a massive misallocation of resources. I always come back to that because that's the key situation.
What are resources? Can you explain that to me a little?
So misallocation of resources is when someone gets energy in terms of money or time or attention that should not be given. Like he hasn't deserved this type of attention.
Okay.
Like, for example, the feminine, lesbian, trans people who have a YouTube channel, has 1 million subscribers, and get all this amazing attention, and YouTube paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a month because people are watching it. That's a misallocation of resources because that's what people are thinking about these days. That doesn't make any sense. Like, the fact that they're thinking about it just shows that society is going in the wrong direction. Society is never going in the wrong direction. It's always temporarily, and then the pendulum swings back and forth, right? Until we find an equilibrium of what actually works. And so there's a misallocation of resources moving towards there. And then eventually there's going to be some form of financial collapse, which is fantastic. Because what it actually does is that it flushes out the unreal money and brings us back to reality of where resources actually should go to.
Agreed.
What is actually important.
Agreed.
Yeah. And that's what's kind of, what's going to happen eventually with us, and then with society at large. And that's a great thing.
Bring it back to niche coaching. We're trying to not let the pendulum swing too much.
No. So niche coaching is basically like, entrepreneurship is not about finding the trend that's right now I can make tons of money and then I'll just go on to the next thing. It's more about becoming obsessed with something that you'll never quit on, no matter how difficult it is. Like, I've made a decision that this is what I want to do with my life so passionately that nothing's going to stand in my way. And that thing needs to be a thing that the world actually needs. And the thing is that if it's not something that the world actually needs, guess what? That person is going to give up.
Yes.
Because it's not, the world doesn't want it.
Because rejection in a sense.
Yeah, because of tons of rejection, you're never going to go anywhere, and you basically just give up on it. It's like human nature to give up on something that actually doesn't come to fruition. So you could either be stubborn or bend over and be like, you know what, I was wrong. You know, and bend the knee to the fact that the people doesn't want what you have to offer. And I basically say, the world, you need this, you know. And the world is like, for 100 years, my entire lifetime, they're like, no, we don't want your crap.
Yeah.
You're basically making the world a worse place or whatever. Who cares what actually is? But that would be a misallocation of my resources to keep hammering the thing that the world doesn't want or need. This could also be a musician.
Right.
Or
with that career, you need to go back to basketball or some shit. You know what I mean? And saving time. Oh, okay. That is a huge issue. Holy shit.
Niche coaching is exactly that, where you have a misallocation of resources because this person should not be doing the thing that he's doing. Or he should be deciding to do something because he's stuck trying to do something that's not providing value for anyone.
Right.
We're trying to get each person to provide tons of value for tons of people. That's how we actually improve the happiness and the joy and the bliss of humankind, when people are actually fulfilling their purpose, so to speak, of what the world needs.
Right. Okay, your definition of resources, allocating resources, makes all of this makes sense.
It's about helping people to allocate their resource. Okay, here it is. I got it. There's a book, my favorite book. It might be my favorite book of all time. I'm not sure. And it's called Good to Great. And I've mentioned it to you in the past, I believe. It's written by a guy named Jim Collins. And it's about 11 companies that went from mediocrity, nothing, average. And then in a short period of time, like in 5 years, 10 years, whatever it was, they all went exponential. All of them went exponential. And he describes in that book what actually happened in that black box, that period of time when it went from nothing to exponential growth. Something happened. And every single company had one visionary leader who just transformed everything and just made it. He just made a decision and then made things transformational, right? And took it to exponential growth. One of the principles in that book was about how that one leader decided, didn't decide on what was going to happen with the company. What he did, however, number one, was he prioritized who should join him on the journey of taking this company to greatness. He didn't care about what we're going to do. We're first going to get the right people on the bus, and they called it a bus.
Right.
And then we'll figure out where to go and where to take it. And then we'll decide which seat each individual is going to fill on that bus towards where we're going to go.
Right.
So the reason why I brought this up is because what you're doing is you're trying to figure out what seat people need to have on that bus.
I see. I got what you mean. So they thrive naturally. Okay.
So they naturally are obsessed and excited about their role that they're playing, and that produces joy, bliss, and happiness for their life quality and for everyone else.